Mr. Mayor, we appreciate your presence, and we also appreciate your candor here on today. Let me just kind of preface these next three questions with something I think that it's important to understand when you're dealing with South Dallas and what I like to refer to as South Dallas proper. That over the course of decades, that we've been, what you're hearing is the frustration
Absolutely.
that results from a lot of pain. Hard to talk about the redevelopment of Southern Dallas because most often what's happened is the redevelopment of Southern Dallas has continued to neglect South Dallas. And so what we're concerned about, not that we're not concerned with the development of Southern Dallas, but South Dallas itself has undergone decades of neglect, decades of blight, decades of having to suffer with urban nuisance and the difficulty of underdevelopment and disinvestment in this particular. And it's easy, if you just kind of take a look at historically what's happened with South Dallas to see how that can continue. Got three questions that we want to ask. I'm going to take them a little bit out of order because I think that the questions warrant. First of all, one of the things that we want to talk about is a response to is that the proposed Trinity Parkway and the development of Highway 175 and I-45 will be leveraged into a much broader, much more significant, much more robust neighborhood and community redevelopment project. And in that development, what we want to do is make sure that those residents who are affected are not just displaced, but that they are relocated into equal or better housing within the community. So that what we're not doing is just scarring the neighborhood with more highways and more concrete, but that we're leveraging this opportunity, this transportation opportunity in a much more broad, robust economic development and neighborhood redevelopment project. The next one is that with regard to the Fair Park Trust Fund, we would like to see that those gross receipts the adjustment for the funding formula from those gross receipts be expanded to include all the activities at Fair Park, and that we engage a consultant to analyze how that fund can be used more strategically to promote broad economic growth. The other thing too is, and this again is more specific to South Dallas, redevelopment of South Dallas is not going to be pragmatic, not going to be possible unless we do something about the proliferation of liquor-related businesses in South Dallas. It always amazes me that you can take a 13 square mile area, pack 300 liquor stores and liquor-related businesses in there, and then complain that there's alcoholism in that area. Just doesn't make sense. And we're not saying that South Dallas has to be dry, but we've got to break up that density. We are looking for, first of all, a moratorium on any more special use permits for liquor-related businesses in South Dallas. And the next thing is we want vigorously enforce the letter and the intent of PD 595, which was to re-examine and reapprise the special use permits that were given to existing liquor-related businesses and to deny them where possible so that we can break up that density, as well as the moratorium on liquor-related businesses that granted SUP.
Okay. 175, I'm with you. I would tell you, that was a dumb thing to have been done when it was done. It was poorly designed. It shouldn't have been put there. The only thing it did is split a neighborhood. I want to take that down as quick as we can. I think there are some terrific plans that all of you have worked on, I believe, that would turn that into more of a parkway that would be more conducive to, on the front end of that, or on the bordering, coming up to the road, more commercial development, that sort of thing, and kind of that next layer back, do housing and that sort of thing. And I can tell you, if you did that parkway, I think you would encourage the development that would come. Now, what happens to the people that are there now? Well, for the most part, the numbers that you'd affect, because you're taking out a big highway, are not that big. But clearly where you've got some of the entryways, the gateways, and those sorts of things, you probably are going to lose some housing. The only way that we can deal with that is through affordable housing. As we go in, and which we do in some cases, we talked about a little bit ago, when there's city money in it, or federal money, then we can leverage to get X percent become affordable housing. That's the best we can do. There is not a perfect formula for the fact that you need to take it down to do the construction and the house comes a year and a half later. We're going to have to balance that. We got the same problem as everybody else in that. But the idea of trying to accelerate 175, I can tell you people at the city are pushing very hard on that. We're trying to pull it out of the rest of the project to be able to go forward with 175, the relocation and that sort of thing. On Fair Park, the biggest issue that we've got on Fair Park is all the money right now comes from one place. It comes from State Fair. That's the only thing right now that's making money. And the city doesn't have any way to say we want money from that. Okay? Now, what we're trying to do is work with the State Fair to open things up. And these are things that I've worked on for years. So if you can get help on it, I'd love to. They have various parcels. 11 acres is one of them we focused on. There's another one of 9 acres. That those would be great if they gave them back to the city. Gave them back to the community and did some housing on it. They don't do that because they use it for staging. Now, and I understand, I want to be fair on this. The State Fair's got some challenges and they bring an enormous amount of money in and there's good things that happen in the community there. We've got to balance that with roughly the 6 weeks of the fair. You got 3 weeks of the fair and then you've got the before and after, so I'm kind of taking 6 weeks. Balance that with the rest of the community and be able to free that up. So that's one thing. Second thing is we need your work. One of the other things I know your group has worked on is the idea of a charter school at Fair Park, which I think is a terrific idea. It would be great to kind of tie it in with the Nature and Science Museum that's out there, but we need your help on it because, to be truthful with you, not everybody's received that with a great idea. Some people are saying, gosh, does that mean more traffic? You know, yeah, it means more traffic. We want more traffic in Fair Park, to be real truthful with you. But those sorts of things would be great things to happen in Fair Park. But in terms of going and getting dollars, that's a State Fair. To be truthful with you, we don't have the leverage to be able to get them. The lessened need for parking by the Green Line certainly could include some type of relationship with the parking that's been taken away from And I'm hoping that's where it goes. I'm hoping that all of a sudden with the Green Line, they'll look at some of these parcels and say, we don't even need it for parking during the 3 weeks of the State Fair, and now they'll be more receptive to be able to do it. We're not at that point. As I said, I've had this idea on the table for a couple of years now. This is when I was new in office, I threw this one on the table. I'd like to tell you, I got there, I'm not getting there, but that's the sort of thing that we've all got to do collectively.
And real quickly, how do we become partners with you and advocate for something like that?
Let me get you involved in a couple of conversations. On Fair Park, on the SUPs and on the liquor, I'm with you. We now are starting to go through and realize I got one vote on this. But we're starting to go through now and trying to kick these SUPs out. In other words, not going. We had an issue yesterday, one where we've done these SUPs and SUPs and SUPs on non-conforming use for years and years, and finally we just got to say, I'm sorry, it gets out. Now let me tell you what happens though, because you got to stand behind it. Those owners of those businesses will run straight down to City Hall, they will go into the council member, and they will put enormous pressure on the council member. And I've seen it. Again, I'm a little bit removed from it. I'm just telling you I've seen it. So, if you want that to happen, you got to be just as loud to walk in there and say, hey, hold it. Don't grant the SUP. Now, I'll tell you, we have eliminated a bunch of those, and I've seen the businesses come down. And there's a lot of, there's a lot of tear-jerking stories, and there's a lot of stories that have logical sense to them. But if you're going to get where you want to get to, you have to make the tough decisions. But I can tell you right now that unless you stand up and say this is important and are willing to go down there and use some of your leverage on this thing, it isn't going to happen. But I'm with you. I want to see them out. I think we've got too many liquor stores, and I agree with you. It just doesn't make sense anymore. So if you see one coming, you can tell me about it. You know where I'm going to stand. It'll be easy. But let me tell you, you're going to have to get the council people that are involved in those individual areas to do that.